What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Episode 49 of the Perfectly Incomplete podcast. I'm Imogene and I'm talking to Tony. What's up, Tony?
Hey, everybody. I'm good. What's up?
And I got someone, I have a guest here today. Hi, don't you say who you are. Hi. But before I say hello, at least.
Hello.
Before I present her, let me just preface it real quick, y'all. So, first of all, I want to say happy first day of summer. Today is the first day of summer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We just celebrated Juneteenth yesterday. Shouts out for that. We're making progress. Father's Day, that don't count, but anyway.
Dang.
And it's it's Pride. It's Pride Month. And y'all see me with my tutu and my stuff because I stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ plus IA community. It's all about self-acceptance. Now, with that out the way, since it is Pride Month, I got someone here. She's a queer. And I'm not going to say she's a queer. She is who she is. She's an amazing woman. She's been around performing all month long everywhere. I know she's tired. That's why she's sitting over there. But this woman, she's a performer. She's a producer. She's a visual artist. She's an erotic. She's an intuitive. She's a creative intellectual. And she just did her one man / woman show, Que Será, Será. For all of you non-Spanish understanding what will be, I present to you the amazing, let me tell you her name. Her name is Judith Z. Miller, also known as Zelda.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for being here, girl. So how you doing?
I'm good. I just finished performing Saturday night, and people really were very moved, and it meant a lot to me.
Okay, so I didn't get to watch it live. Please forgive me, but I did watch it on Hudson TV like 3 times. The third time without interrupted. So why don't you talk to us? Give us a background because I want to talk about that. Give us a background about your production and just acquaint us with you and just talk to us. Anything you want to talk about.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for focusing on this particular issue. It's important right now. I think one of my main goals with my show is to humanize the queer experience. So that people who are not queer can identify with the struggle of someone who is. And I can't tell you how many straight people have come up to me and told me, look, I'm not gay, but I totally related because thus and so and this and so and this and so happened in my life. And, I really feel like your show is universal. So that's very important to me, that the show speaks to everyone. Now, that said, it's a queer show. It is about my experience growing up with gender confusion, with, in a homophobic world that literally I never even saw the word lesbian except in the dictionary. No one spoke it except as a slur. They would say lesy. I grew up in a space where, things were so controlled. And even though people think, oh, but, the queer experience today is nothing like that. Well, maybe you live in New York City, right? Maybe you live, in a metropolis where, with very cool parents who don't care. But there's a lot of people who don't live in that kind of situation, who are actually going through exactly what I went through right now. And in other countries and in some parts of the United States, people are legally murdered because they're gay.
Especially in other countries.
Right.
And
I didn't mean to say people are legally murdered. Excuse me. Let me clarify.
But it's unlawful.
Not in the United States. They're not legally murdered because they're gay, but they are legally prosecuted for various crimes.
I can think of some countries, I don't know where they are, but like Moscow comes to mind.
Yeah.
Israel comes to mind.
Well, actually, Israel, no, actually the opposite. There's a complicated situation that goes on with Israel because a lot of queers feel that even though Israel is extremely accepting of the gay community in many ways, in most ways, as far as I understand, they use that to support Zionist philosophy. So there's they call it pink washing.
Okay.
Like when a corporation and all of a sudden, they're total jerks and they support really horrible things and their money goes to, far right Republican causes. They have a pride sticker on in June. And you're
Hmm.
like, wait a minute, wait, ho.
Right.
Let's follow the money
Kind of
here.
like if Chick-fil-A out of nowhere or Hobby Lobby decided out of nowhere that like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
celebrate Pride too and
Right.
put a whole bunch of Pride merchandise in their stores. And
Hypocrisy, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's yeah. But anyway, my show. My show is it's a very, very simple show. It's me telling my life story in little vignettes. Many of them are, you know, sad and depressing or even horrific or violent, and some are funny and silly, and there's a range of experience. But there's an arc to the show, and then I go back in time, and I don't want to talk too much about how it comes together. But um I think almost everyone has the experience of feeling othered in school, especially. We just don't feel like,
Oh yeah, because kids are terrible. That's why.
kids are bullies. It's horrible. I was a bully. I was a bully, so I know.
Yeah,
I know I was a bully.
I can relate.
So,
I watched it, like I said, and I got to the third time. And to be honest, first of all, I got to commend you because you produced, you wrote, you performed, you delivered that. I was totally engaged.
mm,
And maybe because it was you telling it, because I have a son who is gay, and I was that parent probably who wasn't as accepting,
mhm,
and I was being reprogrammed.
mm,
And it's been recent that I see the harm that I've caused him
mm.
because I was in that mindset. And you just drove it home to me with your story. So I thought it was an amazing performance. It was funny. You were a very good storyteller. And I got to say this. What makes you think the thing of gay, like what I guess what blew my mind when you looked in the mirror and the reflection that was looking at you, you said, I don't feel like the person that's looking back at me.
Mhm.
I heard people say that. I don't really know what that means,
Mm.
but I identified that and I said, okay, so she's queer and we know traditional social norms does not accept it's either black or white. But I
Mhm.
said, what makes you different from any other individual, not even a group? Because everybody, whether they're gay, they're black, or they're Asian, or they're Jew, everybody has that experience of being different
Mhm.
and not being accepted and rejected. So, what made you think you were different in as far as being yourself, or you want to commit suicide or whatever? Is that a fair question?
I no, I don't really understand the question. I'm really sorry. I'm not. Uh, what do you mean? What made me feel different?
Okay,
I
let
mean,
me
was I unclear? I meant that my physical body, that the person in the mirror looked female. I had breasts and I had, genitals that looked like a girl. And when I looked in the mirror, I expected to see a picture of a boy.
okay, and maybe I put too
I
much in.
mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if was that
I'm
clear.
going to
Is that what you?
clarify because I put
Okay.
too much because I
Okay.
put two things in there. I guess so. Number one, and I'm only asking for to understand. And when you say you look in the mirror, I kind of get that because people can tell me how beautiful I am,
Mm-hmm.
and I can look in the mirror and not see that beauty.
Right.
And so when you said this person looked at you, but you didn't feel like a girl, that throws me off because I get it, having feminine and masculine characteristics. We all do. But
Mm-hmm.
at that young of an age, looking at your reflection, how can you truly say what a boy feels like when you're saying you're fluid? How do you distinguish to say this person that's looking at me, I don't feel like she is?
Okay. So this is a fair question. I think that, I mean, I'm not exactly sort of narrowing in on the question, but I'll talk about my experience. I first of all, this happened. I actually say in the show 10 years old because I wanted to tell the first story first, which was at 8 years old, but it actually happened at 7. Okay. So I remember clearly the bedroom. I remember clearly the mirror. I remember looking at myself and I remember wondering why that person in the mirror looked like a female body. I just couldn't understand it. Now, you can extrapolate whatever you want to that. What does it mean? I don't know. I can only tell you that I looked and that's what I saw. And that's what I was confused. I was like, this doesn't match. Why do I feel now? I talk later in the show. Now, I want to say one thing I want to say very clearly. This is very important. I speak for myself. I don't speak on behalf of the transgender community, okay, at all.
Okay.
At all. I speak about my experience, which is I don't really consider myself transgender. So
Right.
so I really want to be careful because I'm not an expert and I only know my own experience.
Right.
So for me, I talk about the complexity of the society telling you that as a girl, you shouldn't do things like beat the boys at sports.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
when you look at yourself, you think, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm not really a girl, right? That's a
Right.
logical thing to think. Well, maybe. And I remember also another incident where I was playing catch with my father. I used to play softball like all the time. I would throw a ball against the garage like nonstop for hours and leap up in the air, catch it, throw it, and leap up in the air. I mean, I was very good. And I was playing catch with my dad when I was young. I don't know how old. And he said, "Good boy." I was very confused,
Okay, I understand.
very confused. Like, why was it? He was giving me a compliment, and yet he was gendering me in this way. I mean, I literally. Can I tell you what that means? No, I can tell you confusion happened.
Okay. That's fair. And I guess from the point I'm trying to make in my head, because I'm still trying to understand things and
Mm-hmm.
your lived experience is yours. And I respect that. I can't
Mm-hmm.
minimize that. I just say people that are not accepted for being who we are or who we believe we are is because there's this expectation placed on society of what the norm is. And I
Mm-hmm.
say, forget that because who are you to establish the norm? But we know what the power dynamics and the history and all of that. But I was just curious because when you, in coming of age, or for lack of a better phrase, you I just saw you when you were sharing stories about when you was with your partner and I seen you light up the happiness there and you were smiling, you were dancing and you were doing your thing. So I'm trying to understand. I understand your journey, but still there's a social norm operating that was operating beneath your awareness of who you were because for you to look in the mirror and see a girl and say I don't feel like her, that was still based upon what society's norm was for
Mm-hmm.
a boy. I
Mm-hmm.
guess that's what I was trying to highlight.
Mm-hmm.
Does that
No,
make
it's
sense?
very true. It's very true. And this is a complex issue. This is a very, very complex issue. I mean, if you're talking about like first of all, what gender is in terms of they've done research about different brains that gay people supposedly have than, straight guys. I mean, it's like really interesting that, talking about different chromosomal things, talking about people who are, intersex, talking about people. I mean, there are
Yeah.
so many different factors. And I feel like everybody wants to be a biologist and, whatever all the other ologists are. And I don't know enough to speak of it, broadly enough. But it is very complex. And I think basically what I'm hoping is that people begin to come to the discussion with a sense of curiosity rather than judgment. I think that's true of every complex social issue. That one, we just go, oh, that looks really weird to me. And instead of going, let me pick up a rock and kill it, literally, that looks weird, let me kill it. We're not bugs,
Right.
you know, like go, oh, a man in a dress. At least it looks to me like a man in a dress.
Right.
Let me, gosh, that's interesting because That must take a lot of nerve to walk down the street like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
wonder why it's so important to that person to dress like that. That's interesting. I'm curious. I'm curious. Let me learn more.
See, and that's where I am. And and Tony, I want to hear your thoughts, and I want to
Mhm.
say this because I get it. The reason I identify with you, and I am definitely an activist to my core, and I understand as you in your space, you're considered to be marginalized in an aspect, and so am I.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of it like that, no, I may not identify as gay or straight, but heck, I'm probably on that spectrum because there's ladies I look at that I find attractive. I'm not going to lie. I don't think there's a woman on earth who hasn't looked at another woman and said, when you're saying she's pretty, that's what you're saying, or she has nice eyes. I'm just calling it for what it is when you break it down. My thing is, like you said, be curious instead of judging. And as an activist, knowing my struggle, not only as an African American, but as a woman. So I have the gender aspect going on, I have the race going on, and then I have demographic, my education level, divorcee. I have all of these
Mm-hmm.
different identity aspects, and I'm with you. That's why I identify these stereotypes about women, about African American women. That's why I can connect with you. And when we, what has come out, the racism, the inequalities, yes, not just African Americans, the LGBTQ community, Hispanics, Asians, I'm there with you. If you're curious, get to know, don't make assume, don't start doing hate crimes. So
Mm.
your story really resonated with me, and I'm glad the community is making progress, just like my race is making progress, not as fast as others are. And I am a little jealous about that, but I'm not hating. So I just wanted to share that. But I identified with your story on so many levels.
Mm.
What are your take? Because you're not talking over here today. What's up?
I'm listening, but I
I know
have
you got
plenty
something
to
to
say.
say.
I do. So, Zelda, just to tell you a lot about myself, I am what you would consider a millennial. That's number one. So we'll start there. So our viewpoints on the LBGT community is definitely different. Our experiences with the community, I am not a part of said community. I
Mm-hmm.
am a ally, is what they will call.
Mm-hmm.
So when I heard your story, the first thing that came to my mind is, what makes this any different
Mm.
than what I've already experienced? I
Mm.
have people who can identify with you
Mm-hmm.
in their experience.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a church, so we have the religious aspect of,
Mm-hmm.
this is wrong, you're wrong, you can be
Mhm.
fixed. We've had that
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This is an experience that you're having. You're curious. It's okay
Mm-hmm.
for a time being, but when are you going to grow out of it, type of a thing?
The
So,
phase.
right. Like, this is just something you're going through. I've
Mhm.
heard that. I've started with two other amazing people, a part of the LBGTI
LGBTQI.
QIA plus community. It's way too many letters
Too
for
many
me.
letters. Too many
But,
darn letters.
with two other individuals in that community in high school. And we've started the first GSA within our community.
What's GSA?
Gay Straight Alliance.
Okay.
So it's essentially a safe place for people, back then it was students who weren't really sure about themselves. They weren't sure if they didn't have a safe space to come and talk about their sexuality. And it kind of opened up that space to allow them to come in and, say, well, I feel this and I'm not sure what this means. And granted, we were all there and we're just like, well, we don't know. We're kids with you. So we don't know, but I'm glad you're talking about it with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, when I first started, I was like, this ain't nothing I ain't never heard before. For me. And I feel like that's where I was just like, all right, this is cool. I get it. But what's so special? And that's just where I was with it. And that's not to say that, your experience is not special, because it is. And
So wait,
everybody
you
is.
watched the video and that was your
Did.
response? Really? So I guess I've failed in life.
No, you didn't. They're not a failure at all. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying because, I'm different, I guess, in a sense.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
I just appreciated that you watched it. And for me, I understand what you're coming for. I respect that. But for me, as a diversity, like that's my lane. I'm an HR consultant, and I focus on my research areas in mentoring, and I'm an activist to the core, right? So any inequality and injustice, I'm opposed to it. Even though I do my soft skill work with self-esteem building, even on this podcast, may not look like that to people because I'm being real, wild, and raw. But in my mind, I know my stuff so good that I can be all of that. But underneath of that is I express how isms, rejecting groups of people, how it affects the sense of self, the
Hmm.
self esteem, the quality of life, and all of that. Why it was powerful for me when I think about diversity, inclusion, that's where the magic is. Because for me, this was told from a senior woman who realized she was queer. We're talking in the 50s, right? Before Stonewall. So she's like that was in that pioneering group who said, we're gonna come out and listen, why can't we be us? That's why it was so powerful. Now you got these contemporary LGBTQ people, and that's cool. But I look at her like when you think of a Woodstock, what do you call it? Shadowstock?
Shada.
But she was like original, like in the earlier people in the
People didn't
movement.
talk about this stuff at all.
Yeah.
And I don't want to in any way say, oh, my show is important if you don't think it's important, but I think
It's
it's,
not that I didn't think it was important. That's not what I'm saying.
oh, okay.
For-
I don't,
Hey, listen, we like to disagree, so
I'm
go
saying
for
no,
it.
that I think that's one of the things is a historical context. And I think it's very important to understand where things were, like as recently as someone born in 1951, because the right wing is pulling us, demanding that we go in that direction again. And if people don't understand that this is, even if they have this great gay life, great, God bless you. Thank you.
Talk to him.
Thank you.
Talk to him, Zelda.
You know, I want you to be happy. Fantastic. But you have to understand the shoulders that you stand on.
Absolutely.
You didn't just come here today. You didn't just poof out of the ground.
Absolutely.
No, it didn't happen like that. A lot of people actually died and are still dying. A lot of transgender people are being attacked just simply for who they are. They are being attacked and killed in this country all the time. And it is just, I mean, come on.
And I get it. I'm not going to minimize that. And I agree with you. And I can actually emphatically say yes with what you're saying. Anytime there's change, progressive change, there's always sacrifice. If there's going to be a revolution, there has to be sacrifice. And your story is no different from me being Black. So I relate because we've been slaves for how long? And I must say that the community itself, the LGBTQ community, I'm glad to see them get equality and get rights that they deserve to have as a human. And I got to give them kudos because they've made more progress in a smaller amount of time than African Americans have. And so I have a problem with that. It has nothing to do with that community itself.
Well, it would be lovely if the communities could work together, but I
And
know
that's- It's
know,
coming. It's coming.
I mean, that's, you know.
I believe it can happen and in time with time. And yet, so I appreciate.
You have a wonderfully, she's like this, her face is it's
What's that?
incredibly expressive. You're speaking and her face is all over the place.
But
Like,
that's cool.
honey, that's not going to happen. She's like,
And listen, nobody is more radical and against. Like, I straight out oppose crazy stuff, and I'll say some crazy stuff just to get somebody to think. If I can push somebody's button, and like a lot of people think, oh, there's that crazy lady. No, don't get it twisted. This lady is really intellectual and all that. But I just say, I stand with the community that you're part of in that aspect with non-traditional gender. I don't care. I express look, I got on a tutu and I'm wearing the pride colors, right? And there's no shame in my game, right? I can embrace you like a sister. I don't care about all of that extra stuff. Who gives a crap? You have a right. But what blows my mind when we're talking about, you say the right wing, I try not to go because I'm not there. But anyway, that's interesting. In your production, when you were talking about, you were doing sensual massages and the guy was a firefighter. He used to be a police. And so this is what blows my mind because even people in Capitol Hill that's making this legislation, that's resisting it, these are the same people that's letting these
100%.
that's with a transgender or whatever get and they freak on. And yet,
stomping their little toes in the stalls in the bathroom on the highway.
you bet that,
Every single time, the ones that are just like out there, preaching,
Yeah.
preaching to the masses.
yeah.
And
Be the
then,
one first
they're
ones bent
stomping
over.
in the bathroom
Now
stall.
stop, Tony.
It's true.
She said him the first one bent over. That
That's
wasn't
true,
nice.
but it's true.
But and see,
It's
that's
like-
Sometimes the truth
It's
hurts.
cra-
Sorry.
it's
but
it's
I
the-
like you telling it because I don't know. You're older, but you're intelligent. New York City, Boston, DC, places that's relevant. Every place is relevant, but those you talk about New York, you're talking about epicenter. DC, you're right there with government. I like when you say your girlfriend said DC's too preventive. The coffee houses are too preventive, right?
provincial.
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 What does that mean, provincial?
Provincial is
Stop.
like old, like you think the Pilgrim, the
Yeah, like
like
small
the
towns.
small town.
No, like
I like that
simple.
impression.
Simple.
I don't know if she talked like that, but that had me
But
rolling
no,
when you were
she
imitating her.
was very what she called high status in the theater. She would talk to me about the different status levels in terms of how to portray a character. And she personally was a high status. Like if you met her on the street, you would swear she was a queen.
Yeah.
The way she walked down the street, she would just be like walking, and you'd be like, this is her street, and I'm just walking on it.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, when I first met her, the moment I first met her, she was sitting behind a desk, and she blew me out of the room.
Seeing and watching you perform that, to me, I want to make this comment, then I got a question for you. For you, excuse me, you tell the story of how you wanted to kill yourself. And guys, you got to watch it. You guys got to watch this. I mean, maybe y'all come across it all the time. I don't. For me, this was powerful for me because I've experienced rejection all my life in a different fashion. And that's why you resonated with me. But it was nice. And what I saw was your strength. That's why as you was telling the story, but you always, most people will say, oh yeah, this happened when I was a kid. This was bad. But it was like you were narrating the way it was, but you had moments when you wanted to commit suicide or when you would cry, but you highlighted the moments when you had a good time and you laughed. And a lot of us don't do that. It's out of balance. So that I was really...
Also, I hope that there's humor in even in like the suicide part. There's humor in there. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw it, but there is humor in it.
Okay.
I'm like, no, I hope I look grotesque. No, beautiful. I hope I look
Oh
beautiful.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
Like
that
when
makes
I'm
sense.
dead, I'm hoping that I'm dangling from a noose, dead.
And she'll
but
see
I'm
how
hoping
beautiful I am.
she'll see how beautiful I am and regret that bitch. Because,
You're good. You're good.
so-
Listen, you got white privilege. You can curse. Facebook
Oh, really? Okay.
Facebook took my stuff down the other day because I made a comment. I used the N-word and in spirit of love.
Wow.
I say that a lot on
Oh
my
yeah, I
podcast.
did actually see that.
But
and I was surprised
I'm
because
making,
I thought,
no, because like I say, I present to the demographic. I'm reaching for a reason. And yes, I know how to speak, but I refuse to allow people, studies show that a lot of African-American women or women of color, they can be themselves, but when they go out of their house, they have to put on this hat to meet the expectations of other people. So this podcast was deliberately set up. So call me crazy, radical, whatever. I did that on purpose. And if
okay.
you can define me based upon how you see me flow here, that's your problem. But watch what's coming because I can talk to y'all. I can talk to the president. I can do whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is I am not going to allow dominant European mainstream rulers of the world. You're not going to tell me how I'm going to speak. You're not going to tell me how I'm going to relate. And so that's my thing. And people say, oh, well, that's why you can't get in here. You can't do that. At the bottom line, what's for me is for me. And I know my motive and my objective. And so that's that. But yeah, you can use that word if you want to. Say it again if you want.
what word did I use?
Bitch. But I do want to
I
ask
feel
you this.
like George Carlin and whatever the 7 words are that you're not supposed to say on television. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes.
and like I say, I'm impressed with your production, and I think it should be archived somewhere. I think it should be part of a programming because definitely I say we need social emotional well-being classes. I think that should be integrated in
Yeah, I
curriculum.
mean, I actually hope that the show will go to places like gender studies programs and stuff like that, and
I think it should be
and,
used for
and
instructional purposes,
we
period.
for what? I'm sorry.
For instructional, I think it should be a classic. I don't care if she's seen it before. To me, that's a classic. I don't care what she says. That's her opinion. No, I'm just saying me. And I think there should, like, when they're really talking about inclusion, when you talk about it for real, because we know you go through the diversity change, there's awareness and sensitivity, and it's supposed to be inclusion, the 3 phases of training. I've conducted the trainings, we know what it is, but it's something about, and we know statistics say stories are most powerful. That's why
Mhm.
politicians,
Mhm.
when you're trying to move them, you bring real people, cases who
Mhm.
have real
Mhm.
studies.
Mhm.
So, and you're
No,
very,
it's very important to have personal story, and I think I want to talk to you a little bit about why I think the story is important. Not because I'm different at all, because I'm really saying I'm the same. I'm saying I had this experience, and you probably did too, on some level. Almost every straight person has come up to me and said that they felt, as I mentioned before, in some sense marginalized and othered. So people do relate to the story, and it's not important that I'm different. What my friend oh my god, why am I blanking out on this man's name? Anyway, he's a professor in Albany, and he saw the video, and he talked about was not just the individual elements of the story, but the coming back and transcending it, the arc of transcending it, of going back and reframing your life and making meaning in your life. That I think for me it's important, and it's important because it came from both the energy of the theater, the fact that creativity helped me accept myself, my artwork, my creativity in the theater, and um, oh no, I'm blanking out on what I'm trying to say in the other aspect. Ah,
that was, I'll help you if I can. I know that's when you said, when you got that lead role, you found a place where you could really do you and
I
character and love
Right,
yourself.
that my experience of healing came when I realized that my desire to commit suicide and my attempt to commit suicide could actually be used on stage in the service of art.
Absolutely.
And that elevates it from therapy. It elevates it from my personal experience to a communal experience. And I used to I had a small theater company in the 19 late 70s and early 80s, and I was very interested in this prison, creating a prison project, and no one was doing this at that time. And I took a show that I had the lead in to a federal prison, and the show was about a woman in prison. And I raised the money. I mean, it was like an enormous project that I did. It was really, really overwhelmingly time everything. Because I had the lead in the show, I produced it, I raised all the money. I mean, it was like really intense. And I spent 6 weeks with my partner, the artistic director, performing and teaching in a federal penitentiary. And it was the most intense period of my life. And I saw when we did our final bow of the show, we I felt this wave of love come over me. They were standing on their seats and cheering, and this wave of love that felt like light pouring over my body that I never felt before in my life. And I thought at that moment, I thought, okay, I can die now. I'm ready to die now. I really felt that. I felt like, okay, I can go now. Because I felt like my life was complete because I was understood, I was received in a way that was just like so profound and I knew affected their lives. And I received letters like after we did these workshops in the prison about how the work changed their lives. So I saw the power of theater. And I saw it's not that this girl's experience, which was the play was called Getting Out by Marcia Norman, who also was a Pulitzer Prize winner for Night Mother, about a woman who kills herself. But this show is about a woman in prison, and I produced it and blah blah blah. So I saw the power of theater, and her experience was unique. All of our experiences are unique, whether it was different or not. And I think, but it's standing outside of your experience, I think, that's so important, and having some kind of a bird's eye view. And that's how really the spiritual aspect of my show is important to me, because I think often when we reject spirit, when we reject norms, as we should, sometimes we throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we forget that to pursue have a spiritual path as well, whatever that organic spiritual path is. Like we always say, we don't want religion because religion is homophobic.
Religion
But
is a lot of things.
religion is a lot of things.
Let me interject there only because what you said. I don't know if you're familiar with the book Dancing with the Wolves,
I probably saw the movie years and years ago, and I don't remember.
but anyway, it's basically, as a human being, there's a path that's natural to us if we flow in that, and that's what I loved about you. Were very in tune with what you were feeling, like you were very intuitive with, and it was natural for you, even though it went against social norms. And you said something about, I wonder, and I'm alluding to this if I say it wrong, but basically the way I understood it, you said, I wonder what you would be like if it wasn't the norms. I wonder what all of us would be like if it wasn't norms, because I know a lot of us have desires,
Mm-hmm.
and I know we fantasize about things. If we're going to keep it a buck, you know what I'm saying? People fantasize about things that they don't act upon because it's not acceptable. But I just got to say, I don't care. I don't care what Tony thinks. I appreciate you doing that. And I was in admiration for you, because as you share your childhood, whatever, and you had a strength and a confidence that I don't even know that you knew. Or for you, and back then we're talking about you were born in the what, 51?
51.
And then 69, so all the stuff when you the marches and stuff, it was something in you. In spite of, you had rejection, people didn't understand you, they sending you to a shrink and all of this, but it was something about you, like an aspect of your will, determination, that you said, I'm going to be me. And it was just something like it was a natural inherent thing in you, and you stood on that. And
well, I think part of that
that was huge for me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think part of that is being raised Jewish. That my mother really was like, she taught me, like, she was like, okay, if you hear a joke that's racist, you have to be the one that speaks up. Don't you be standing there quiet or laughing with your friends. It is your responsibility to speak up. And I was like, okay, I took that absolutely to heart, and she was just adamant about that. So even though she didn't understand, when I came out to her, she didn't understand it. And it was like, terrible. And she cried, and she was like, why would I choose to be like this? Why would I make this choice, as if it was a choice? Still, she had ingrained in me this basic value of truly being yourself and standing up for what was right. Despite the general norm and consensus, even if it meant you got ostracized.
Having a spine. Yeah, I like that. When you know something ain't right, and because a lot of us do that, we know something ain't right, but we're like, oh, that's the way it is. Pretend like I don't see it, or I can't get into that. And I get it. You have leaders and you have followers.
Yeah.
It's about integrity, what you value, and yet still, you don't have to be a leader. But for you to see an injustice and know it's an injustice, and you can turn your head to it, then you're being complicit.
Right,
And
exactly.
to me,
she was
that's a
like,
coward.
you know,
That's a
she-
coward.
Well, it
It- but
depends
it's a-
on your position on it too. Because if you have power to change it, then you change it. But
Exactly.
if
Yeah,
you
but
don't, then there's nothing you can do. You can try to fight it, But the
Right.
likelihood of it actually getting traction, which we see in our community now,
Right.
the likelihood of getting traction and actually having the ability to change it is something completely different.
And I understand that, but at least speak out. Like if
Oh,
if
absolutely.
I see something, if nothing else, even if my little one letter to my congressman can't change anything,
Right.
but let me at least write it and say this happened. I don't think this is fair. That's all you can do. If that's all you can do what you can do, though, right?
Do
Right,
your part,
right.
basically.
Yeah. Well, so tell them where they can see. Just
Oh
tell them.
yeah, okay. So let me tell you a little bit. First of all, I'm reminding myself that um, we will be inserting at some point the theme song for the show. So I just want to mention that.
Okay.
First of all, the show is called Que Sera Sera, a life's journey of sexual orientation and gender expression. And if you want to learn more about the show, you can do so on queserashow.com. And that's spelled QUE S as in Sam, ERA, S as in Sam, ERA, show.com. And also, you can actually watch the entire show there, or there's a slightly newer, improved version on Hudsy TV right now. You can watch it on Hudsy, that's HUDSY.TV. You can sign on, you can get a free subscription, and you just go to the LGBTQ part and category, and you see Que Sera Sera. And you can view the show. It's about 75 minutes long or so. And at the very end, you will hear our original theme song, which I am delighted to share with you. It is composed by a local artist by the name of Kate Squire. That's SKWIRE. Kate Squire, SKWIRE. Check her out. She's wonderful. And my pal, both of them are my pals. Bobby Sabella, who is a local drummer who I know, a drummer. And so in this regard, with the show, with the new song, which is called Que Sera Sera, Kate composed it and sings it, and Bobby arranged it and produced it. And Bobby Sabella is a wonderful man. And both of them did this as volunteers at a moment's notice. And the song is wonderful. So if you wanted to play it now.
Okay, so this is the song from Zelda's. I don't know if it's a monologue, but her show, Que Sera Sera. What will be, what will be, will be. And this is a song from her production. It's a beautiful song. Check it out.
I am all alone, ready to ditch this ride. Confused, shameful, maybe society is right. I'm wrong, I have turned your hateful gaze inside. No one to show me, to know me, to help me find my pride. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Gotta claim myself. No apologies. I'm a hammer here to slam ya. I'm a honeybee. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. I am human, I am whatever I feel inside. Precious child of God, I will not be defined. Don't try to squeeze me, make me fit your narrow mind. You don't comprehend, and I can't compromise. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be. Gotta claim myself. No apologies. I'm a hammer here to slam ya. I'm a honeybee. Que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
Okay, so Tony,
So
listen.
what time do we have? So what's going on? I'm trying. Oh, we have only
Listen,
5
don't
minutes.
worry
Don't worry
about
about
don't worry
time.
about that. We're gonna have to edit that out because you don't do that, okay?
I don't do. What
But
did I do?
It's okay.
What did I
It's
do?
okay,
What did I do?
nothing.
We don't have time to
No, we do, but yeah. But I just wanted to. I want to make sure we get the heart of it. We talked about the production. I think people should see it. I think you should push it forward to try to get that. Should be archived as a classic when you're gone, as part of your legacy. That should stay behind you because you were with the original OGs who was out here marching. Being who you are, it takes a strong person to do that. I commend you, girl. You had this fire going on with you, and you was like, she was fine, and those breasts, and I was like, listen, Zelda is doing too
Wait,
much.
is
Right?
this being recorded or are we on a break now?
No, this is being recorded.
Oh, okay, I'm trying to figure.
No, but I like it, and it's Pride Month. And I don't know if a lot of people know what Pride is about, but in case you don't, it's celebration. It's trading in the shame of being queer. And really, we all queers because all of us is weird. I'm a queer too. I may not be in the way you think of it, but queer is just supposed to be to deviate from social norms. I don't care about social norms. I saw you was happy when you talked about your lover and she had golden shred hair and her eyes. And
It
when
was
she put her
soft
arms in the
golden
bar and
hair.
I touched her tits and Zelda was smiling. But you know what? You deserve
And I
that.
did use the word tits. I just want to say.
Well, you didn't. That's what. But you were smiling, and you could feel the positive energy, the vibrations from you. And you know what? That's everybody's lot in life. We deserve to have that. So I hope you do what you do
Thank you.
to pass it on. I got to ask you this question. I want to let Tony say something. We're going to take it out of here. What do you think? What do you think would have been missing had you not produced this creative work and published it? What would the world be missing if you had not done this?
Well, I'm hoping it's relatable. I'm hoping that that people will, as I said, have a sense more of curiosity about anything queer, anything on the queer trans spectrum. I'm hoping that people want to do more research, for instance. It will be housed in the Lesbian History Archives, for instance. I hope they will be interested. Well, tell me more about the community. What was the community like, et cetera, et cetera. What can I do? Who can I contribute to? Whatever way to be positive. I don't know. A lot of options.
I'm so glad you did it. And I'm so glad we're sitting here because I know we talked about getting together before the pandemic and that happened. And then I went to Zelda's spot. And this is with her spiritualism and her art.
Definitely on
and remember, I was trying to get my son in there. I said, we got to do a podcast, right? Because even your space. So
yeah, I was really thankful that you came to my house.
I was
my
too.
apartment. It really touched you, and I was very moved by that.
And I'm hoping, who knows, moving forward as your schedule allows, because I'm so fascinated, and that's genuine. I don't fake the funk. And, I'm radical. I'm all of that. But I just have love. I have love for you. I appreciate your journey. I appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you.
And this ain't the last time we're going to connect.
No, I hope not.
You got something you want to say, lady? Because you haven't been earning your pay tonight. I might have to dock you. You ain't been saying, you've been like, like again. No, what's your take on it? You watched it.
I definitely gave you my take on it, but thank you.
Yeah, you don't.
Thank
see
you for listening.
Do
though.
you see the value? You see no value in her production? It don't matter. That's
Did
your
I say
opinion.
that? Did
No,
I say that?
You didn't. You said it wasn't nothing different.
I just feel as if, personally, for me, it didn't do much for me because I've already heard this narrative.
You heard the story.
So this is the reason why it didn't do much for me.
It didn't do much for you. But as you watched it, if you could highlight something that someone else who don't have your experience could benefit from, what piece would you highlight in that production?
I think more so it will be the self-acceptance part. Like, be who you are unapologetically, no
Does
matter
any
what.
particular scene or piece that she was orating
You
come
gonna
to
let
mind?
me talk, or you gonna keep talking?
Oh,
over
I
me?
like it. Turn up. That's
well, you
what I'm
came
talking
for
about.
my neck for no reason.
Absolutely. You want a necklace?
Maybe.
Not this one. This costs too much money.
We're
girl.
not gonna go there.
Costs a
But-
whole $2.50.
Woo!
Dang.
My last
rich.
$2.
Either way, but I think the most beautiful part of it was when she was a child and her first lesbian experience, actually. And
With the
she
pressing of the fingers?
yeah. Yeah. And it was so, like, nobody else, of course, nobody else is going to think of it. Like, it's such an intimate moment. And for me, being a cisgendered heterosexual woman, intimacy is very important. And share having those small moments of intimacy with people, and it doesn't have to be sexual. It's something so simple. That's something that I feel like not many people, especially in my generation, get. We're very much so hypersexualized as a culture at this particular point in time, and especially within the LBGTQ. Why do I say key?
Yeah,
Why do I
because a
keep saying
lot of them
key?
just want to get it in.
But either way, LBGT. I'm tired. I'm
LGBTQ,
tired.
We know what you mean.
Yeah.
Right. The community. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a lot of letters from me right now. But just within the community as a whole, it's so hypersexualized. It's so focused on the act of the sex itself as opposed to focusing on the people. So
Well, I think that's partly youth. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I
Girl,
mean,
you put snot on me. What's your problem? Yo,
I'm so sorry.
I'm not going to curse. Where the sanitizer at, girl?
I'm so sorry.
Listen. Y'all see how disciplined I
I'm
am?
so
Because
sorry.
normally I would have had a knee-jerk reaction. I've been working on
I am
anger.
so sorry.
I've been breathing, and it's working.
Can I get a napkin, please?
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're lying. I know you didn't
I'm
do
good.
it. You didn't do it on purpose,
No,
honey.
I didn't. It was just like
where the hand
'cause, like, the first
sanitizer
thing,
at?
for real though.
I ain't joking about that.
But
You
no,
okay?
it was
you
like,
okay?
yeah, I'm
You need
fine.
some water?
No, I'm good. I'm good. No,
need
it was
some
more
of
so
this
because
Zelda?
what I heard, it's the youth part of it.
You need some.
What?
Zelda, you want some of this?
I'm gonna have to clean this table because it's a
We're,
lot.
we're good, baby. You're okay.
No, it's all right. But
I have
we don't
faith.
have caution tapes in here.
Ain't no danger coming in this house. I'm covered,
what I
okay?
heard her say, it's the youth aspect. Only thing I heard is like because y'all mother effers are young and dumb. That's what I was like. So that's the reason I just
But let's be real. That's what you're like a
so
little.
sorry. I'm
You know,
so sorry.
I was like a little bunny rabbit. I would still be like
not a bunny
I would
rabbit.
That's the
still.
reason why I started laughing.
I
I'm
would
sorry.
be like a bunny rabbit now if I could be.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Let's go.
Hey, listen. It's
No,
Zelda.
but what
I-
no,
we
but
gotta
I
wrap
think
up.
that's cool. I wanted to just want to say that nuance is where it's at in terms of political discussions, in terms of social discussions, in terms of interactions with humans. And that's what I hope will be part of the experience of my show.
And and I hope people will watch it. And so I just want to say to you, Zelda, it's been good just conversing with you, and we packed a lot in. Probably didn't get everything in this little bit of time, but I'm so glad that we got to
Thank
share
you.
this space.
Thank you.
Your production is awesome, and I'm urging people to watch it. And I guess I'm going to let you plug one more time. So
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
going to leave my comment just to say, whether you're gay, straight, lesbian, humatu, hashifa, humana, whatever on the spectrum of
Uh-oh.
on
I
the
need
spectrum-
notification, whatever
I'm
that
just
is.
saying on the spectrum of operating in this realm of human experience, right? Nobody can dictate what's the norm. You don't have to agree with everybody. Everybody deserves to be able to operate in their own space with their desires, as long as what they're doing is not infringing upon me in a negative way. We're all
Right.
unique. And I say, do you? I commend you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And I look up to you, admire you
Thank you.
for being who you are, having the resilience to push through and say, yeah, I'm catching all this flack, but this is what I'm going to do. So I share that. It's been nice, y'all, talking to y'all. Make sure y'all share this, tell y'all friends to watch this. Toni, and then we're going to let Zelda take us
I
out.
need to clean this table. I'm not focusing on nothing else
Okay,
but clean
Zelda,
this table.
plug yourself one more time and we out of here.
All right. I'm sorry. So it is the name of, first of all, my name is.
Look in the camera, darling.
Hello.
That camera right there.
My name is Zelda, AKA Judith Z. Miller. If you Google me, you'll get a bunch of stuff. But you can also go directly to my website, which is ksera.show.com. And that is spelled QUESERA show.com. You can also watch the show in its sort of newer version, slightly newer version, on Hudsy TV. That's HUDSY TV, or their new app, the new Hudsy TV app. And so it's about 75 minutes long, and I hope you'll check it out. It is not for children, not for children. Trigger warning, all kinds of things like suicide, incest, you name it, it's in there.
That was
So
interesting,
if
too.
you're a person who is easily triggered, this may not be the show for you, but I hope it is for many people. Please take a chance. Look for it. It's called Que Será, Será, a life's journey of sexual orientation and gender expression. Thank you. All right.
All right, your phone went off. My phone
This
went
was a
off.
long distance text, and I am so happy to get it.
Oh,
Yes.
that's good.
Oh my.
All right, say goodbye to everybody so we can go.
All right. Peterson. All right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad it's good news.
It's
Hi,
beautiful
everybody.
name.
So thanks for listening to us
Thank you.
today. Zelda, thank you for coming on
Thank you so
today and
much.
talking to us. And it was a great conversation. And we're more than likely going to continue this afterwards, as we always do. Just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Please comment. Like, we kind of want to know what you think. We really don't care, but we kind of want to know. It's
Tony.
true. It's true. I'm being honest. I'm being my authentic self. Remember? Remember that conversation we had?
You got
So, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Deuces.